Also, everyone, Minimalist Mom Life, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to give you some ideas for intentional family time. So a lot of my talk on minimalism is so that you can focus, right? So you're removing the excess on your schedule and the excess in your home so you can focus on the people that are in your home, the people that are in your life, and experience this. So I wanted to give you some tips on ways that I try to be intentional with my family and to focus on them and to have intentional family time. I know life is really busy and we have 4 kids, and so I'm seeing more than ever how I have to be very intentional with giving them that attention and that one-on-one time and not just be bustling a whole bunch of kids around. So these are just my ideas. I would love if you have ideas for how you spend family time down in the comments down below. Obviously, this is not all inclusive of everything we do for family time, but just some of my favorites. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Number 1 is supper together. So we have supper together every single night. Even if my husband is not able to be home for supper, I'm going to sit down with the kids and we are going to have that meal together. I remember growing up, my parents did this, and that was one of my favorite parts of the day. I always enjoyed what my mom cooked. It was simple, but it was just always something that I really, really loved, and I just enjoyed sitting at the table, and I would see, my dad was all the way across from me because I was at one end, and then, my sister was on one side, and my other brother, and then my mom was on my dad, and then my older brother. And I just remember that being a really special time. One of my favorite memories is that I remember when my dad and brothers would be like talking about sports or something that maybe I didn't understand. My mom would often smile at me and she would wink at me. And I think it was just kind of like, I always felt like she was just saying that she loved me and like, she wasn't saying anything to me because another conversation was going on, but she was just giving me a little bit of love. And so the supper table for me was important growing up, and so it's something I want to give to my kids, that is the time that we spend together. We're not rushing through that meal. Mom has taken the time to prepare a nice meal for us, and we sit down and we enjoy it. One of the things that we do with our kids is we always ask them what was their favorite part of the day. We started this, I don't know, maybe 10 months ago or so, and now George, who is our second son, and he is 3, he's the one that always likes to interview everybody, and he starts it, and he always has to be the one to end it. He wants to say his one last. But it's been really cute because we're seeing what our kids enjoy throughout the day. Sometimes they get off in these imagination tangents and what they're talking about didn't even happen, but often they are highlighting what they enjoyed of the day. And while we don't say what was your least favorite part because we're not focusing on negativity, we do allow them to say, I didn't have a good day, or I didn't like this or whatever. And it's just fun to see what everybody's favorite part of the day is. One of my sons almost always says eating dinner and then thanks me for his meal. So that's really sweet. So we enjoy the supper table. That's just a great time for us. I don't typically eat lunch with my kids. I have my lunch break. If you've watched my other videos, you know that. But supper time is a great time for us to be intentional with looking at each other, and you're kind of admiring how your kids grow, and we pray together, and we get to have that meal. So I really encourage y'all to make supper time a priority. I know for some people that's maybe only 3 nights a week, but 3 nights is still better than no nights. So whatever it is, supper time I think is a great meal to have together and just spend time together. The next one is we alternate date months with our kids. And so what I mean by that is that there are 12 months in a year, so 4 quarters, and what we do is 1 month everybody gets a date with mom. Now Lucy's not included with this yet because Lucy just turned 11 months old, but 1 month I will have a one-on-one date with each boy, and that can be anything from just going to the grocery store with mom, but we make it a special trip. Maybe we get ice cream or something, or I did the monster trucks with my 2 older boys recently, or just the park with one of them, or the library with one of them. Whatever it is, a date doesn't have to be expensive, but every boy gets a date with mom, like it's the month of January. Then come February, it's dad's turn, and everybody gets a one-on-one date with dad. And then come March, we have a family date where although we're having family time throughout the month and we're going to the park together and walks and the lake and stuff like that, we really do something fun, something thought out, and it's more than just a couple hours long. We just had our family date. This month, June, is family time, and so for June we went and did we went and got donuts in the morning, and then we went and did a bounce house place. And I don't know if every town has them. I don't think our last town did, but it was a lot of fun. It was just a whole bunch of bounce houses, and the kids could run around, and it was a fun family date. So that way, every quarter, each boy gets, and Lucy when she gets older, gets one-on-one time with mom, one-on-one time with dad, and then we do something special as a family, a new experience together. And so we budget for that in our little kids budget item line, because again, debt-free living, everything comes back to a budget, right? But we really, really enjoy that. And the boys look forward to it, and they talk about the date time, and they talk about the dates we've been on in the past, and we let them help plan it. So that's something we really enjoy. Oh, which reminds me, back on the having supper together tip, I like to allow my kids to help me meal plan, and so encouraging them to like, what's one of their favorite meals that we could make that week. Like my oldest loves salmon, and I cannot stand fish, but we eat salmon in our house because it's healthy and it's good, and I want my kids to like it, and they do. So we allow them to pick a meal or help with the meal planning to make supper even more special for them. So alternating date months is number 2. Number 3 is, I know that everybody's always preaching about waking up before your kids and how you can get all this stuff done, and I plan for that to be a season in my life where that works. Right now, though, what I have found has worked for the last few years that I've had more than one kid is that using that morning time when there's only one kid awake to really pour into that kid. So Elliot is my 3rd little boy, and he's the one that just got kicked out of the baby spot last year when Lucy came along. And it has been great for him this last year that he is the first one up, and he wants a cup of milk, and mommy wants her cup of coffee, and we snuggle. And it doesn't matter if I'm on my phone or I'm reading my Bible, he's snuggling next to me and we're talking about it, and he loves that time. He'll come in the morning, he'll wake me up, and he'll ask for milk and snuggle time. And I know that that starts him off in the day. He's the 3rd boy, total middle child with Lucy right underneath him, filling up his little cup. And so look for those pockets of time that might otherwise, if you're a mom of multiple children, be your alone time. And look if you can add a child in there without that. That's not emptying my cup. Like, I'm not feeling like I didn't get alone time. Like, when you have 4 kids, having just one kid feels like it's alone time. So I look to have that time with him. With my oldest, I'm doing this, we do it at nap time. So once the other kids are all asleep and I've had my little 30-minute lunch break, I look to spend some time just with him. And he's 4, so that's not snuggling time, but usually it's puzzles or board games or reading books, something like that. But giving him a little bit of one-on-one time. And then my 3rd boy, he usually gets it in the morning right after Elliot, or 2nd boy George, and sometimes he wants it in the evening too, but trying to give them a little bit of snuggle time, carve out that time in the day where you're going to snuggle up with them on a chair and just listen to them. I think it can be overwhelming to hear that tip if you think, oh, I got to have an hour for each kid, but I think spending 10 minutes alone with each child, I don't think it has to be this huge thing, but 10 minutes of snuggle time and learning about snakes on YouTube or something like that, whatever it is, I think really goes a long way for our kids. So having a little bit of time in the morning, a little bit of time in the evening, wherever it works for you, works great for us. And then my 4th tip was nap time, which I just said. And with my older kid, if you have a child that's no longer napping or on a slightly different nap schedule, I know that can be discouraging and I want them all to sleep at the same time. But I would encourage you to look at that to your advantage, that that's a time that you can really pour into that child, give them a little bit of one-on-one time because they're going to grow up fast too. You don't want your kids to get lost in the bigger family shuffle of, you know, there's a baby or there's multiple children to take care of and they don't get that attention. My number 5 tip for family intentional time together is family walks. This is my husband and I's favorite thing to do. We did this even when we were dating. We talked about how one day we would do it with kids. It's just in the evening after dinner, get those dishes done really quick and go on a nice family walk. People talk when they're walking. People talk when their bodies are busy, and they tend to open up. And so sometimes you can hear things about your children or their thoughts or their fears or what they wonder about the sky or what they wonder about grandpa or whatever it is when you're walking. So I think family walks are a good time to relax. Your kids' bodies are busy, so you're not having to discipline them and tell them to get out of things a whole bunch other than other people's yards. And they're getting to talk and they're getting to share with you and you get to share with them, and sometimes it's just quiet and you're walking and it's peaceful. So really encourage you to get in a family walk, even if it's just 15 minutes in the evening. Plus, it's great for your digestive system. So that is my final tip for intentional family time. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you do for intentional family time in your house, and I will see y'all in my next video.